in this video, I want to continue with the notion of ubiquity. And I've already put forth a couple of videos looking at motif in the sense of doors and windows and thresholds, and then analyzing that and generalizing it and trying to come up with a theory of what does this mean in terms of Christina. But the other thing I think that you can look at that appears quite frequently in the book, and I don't want to really say it's motif because it's a notion that is used. It's evidence, okay? What I mean is the author of this book wants to do something with the book. He wants to prove to his readers that Christina was indeed a genuine mystic, holy person. But, you know, Abbot Jeffrey was a holy person. I mean, the writer wants to convince his audience that Christina was special. That she was special. Okay? And we need to view this as the beginning attempt to transfer sainthood on Christina Markyate. And she never got it. But, you know, one of the traditional routes was the first thing you had after you died was someone wrote your life, the life of this person. And then it got read and it helped others, and the book itself would start healing and that sort of thing. So, you know, that didn't happen to Christina, but this writer is going to give you evidence. Evidence that she actually had visions, evidence that she actually was this or that, evidence that she was close to death, sick, evidence of this and, you know, of struggles and overcoming struggles, evidence of persecution. And just think with me how the writer took pains to say, now Christina had a dream about Abbot Jeffrey, and Christina woke up that next morning. The dream was like Abbot Jeffrey was going to come visit her that day or something. And Christina told her sister Margaret, or one of the ladies in her prioress, in her priory, in her group. She was a prioress, if you could think of her in those terms. In her group, living in her place, you know, this is what's going to happen today. Now, listen, Matilda or Martha, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. Actually, I think the sister's name was Matilda, but or Margaret. Margaret. That's right. So, and then, you know, cousin Jeffrey comes walking up and says, did you think I was going to visit you today? I caught you by surprise, didn't I? And then Christina is like, oh, don't say another word, don't do this. And Margaret has to come and relay the dream. Why is Christina taking pains to organize her information this way, to occlude it, to secret it, to limit it up like this, and then release it at the right time so that people begin to believe her that she really is having these dreams for sure? What I'm saying or suggesting is that if you think in terms of what is the evidence that's presented, you get it in the story. But how about this question? How is the evidence presented, and why are you expected to believe it? And what you can use this book to do is to draw a hypothetical paradigm from a particular instance. And from this one book, draw forth a paradigm of medieval evidence. How it was used, what you were expected to believe, and why. And then at the end of your theme, of your paper, suggest that this is just one incident. You know, it's yet to be studied as to whether this pattern you've drawn out, not pattern, but this paradigm actually pertains to other holy writings in this vein, in this genre. But it would be a profitable theme. And if you use that sort of language at the end, everyone would understand you're not taking on yourself at this point the burden of trying to prove it that it exists across the board, or generally so, for this genre, but that you're saying you're suggesting it could be there, and it's definitely here in this book. Now here's what it looks like in this book. Here are the warrants for belief. Here's the contours of belief. Here are the data for belief. And here's how it's presented. Here's the medium. Why did they think that this would be effective? Alright. So that would be something well worth writing about. Because if you can delineate that and describe that effectively, it might apply to other works as well. So looking at the book in terms of how does it use evidence, and what could we say then in general might be the way the medieval mind accepted evidence about these matters. Here's just one last example about this, and then I'll close. Is remember when Christina's husband comes to finally agree to allow the marriage to be absolved, and Roger won't take his oath at that moment because the people that were with him were not of sufficient standing, social standing, to be good witnesses to this. So Barthred has to come back, 2 or 3 days later, with different people of noble rank to allow the marriage to be annulled. See, so the notion here is that a person from a noble family is intrinsically better. I'm just saying the physical makeup, the mental makeup, the person itself is better just by default. It's a different category from the non-noble, right? The people at large, or the vulgus. And it wasn't an issue of just conventional caste or class. It was an inherent makeup thing. I mean, of the way the body was made up. That's why you had to be very careful who you would allow to nurse your baby if you were a noble in this time, according to their mindset. And this is why they could get away with half starving the people that worked for them. The nobles could. The serfs and, we're not necessarily, the peasants, yeah. Because they were sort of like a very highly sophisticated animal. They weren't fully human. That's why their words don't count as much in law, according to the book. So that would be part of what you would have to develop and theorize upon if you were to look in terms of, okay, what does Christina of Markyate tell me of how the medieval mind handled evidence? That would be a good question to answer in a theme. It would work well.